Right, so welcome to a new guide on this channel, and this occasion is the KO. This is not a review, it's a complete deep dive guide about this device. Now everything on this guide is in chapters, so if you look at the description or the timeline, you can jump to a section or skip the ones you don't want. Now if you like this, please like and subscribe, and if you have the money and you want to buy me a coffee, you can. Everything is on the description. Okay, so let's just begin. Let me give you first a brief introduction in how to use it and how to work with this, and then we will dive into each little thing that this has to offer. Now, this essentially works as a sequencer and a sampler. So you have 16 steps, 1, 2, 6 till 16, and then you have 16 sounds, 16 patterns. Inside of the drums, you have 16 sounds on each of the slots. So everything works on 16s right here. Now notice that right there, you have a division. It says melodic and then it says drum. This means that when you work with melodic sounds, like for example, a piano or maybe a synthesizer, something, that it's melodic, this is going to work a little bit different from the drum section. It's going to record sample and then alter the pitch to the different keys, to the different steps. So it's like working with a piano roll. And then the drum section, it's a little bit different from the melodic, because when we have a sound, it means that we will record 16 different sounds on each of the slots. So now this works like a drum machine. Now you don't need to panic, we are going to be working with both. So notice that right at the top you have a button that says sound. So this is like the main button to select the different sounds between melodic and drums. So what you need to do is you need to hold sound. Just press and hold, and I'm going to do it with this hand so you can see it on the camera. So right there, when you hold it from factory, the first 2, 3, and 4 of the melodic are going to be taken. And this is because you have a light. So if you have a light, it means that you have some data, you have some sound right there. Now, if it's off, like the 1, 2, 3, and 4, it means that you have no information right there. Same thing with the other one. On the drums, you have 9, 10, 11, and 12 with drum information. Now on the 13, 14, 15, and 16, you have nothing. So maybe you noticed this when you purchase the KO. Well, this means that you have no data, and later what you can do, you can add data there. We're going to talk about that later. So how can we select the sounds? Again, we need to go to this key. I'm going to hold it. Whenever you hold it, it's asking you, okay, so what do you want to use, melodic or drum? I'm going to be doing this, and it's going to give you a sound. So that's the sound of the melodic. If I play of the step, of the slot, the number 1. If I go to the number 2, we might have a different sample. In this case, it's a bass sample. If I go to this, it's a pluck sample, let's say. And the other one is going to be some chord sample. You can tap it many times just to audition the sound. So once you select the sound, now what it's going to do, and this is only on the melodic side. Once you have that selected, you can release the keys. And once you just release it, the 1, 2, 3, and 4, and all the way to 16, all of this is just going to work like a piano roll. So when you play a key, you get different pitches of the same sound, of the same instrument. Now, this is how it works on the melodic part. You just select the sound and then you just play it. But if you go to the drum sound, it's going to be a little bit different. If I hold it, I need to hold the sound, and I need to go maybe, I don't know, to the number 5. So as soon as you tap it and you keep tapping it, you can hear different sounds. So on each slot, you can store up to 16 different drum sounds. That's how it works. How can you notice on which sound you are? Well, when you hold the sound like this, and you select maybe the slot number 5, you have 16. Right there at the top, it's telling you, dude, you're holding the 9, and right now you're playing the step number 6, which is going to be this one. So you have, some sounds right there. Now, if you keep playing it, it's going to go to the 7, it's a kick. The next one is going to be an 8. And so on, and so on, and so on. So just holding and just tapping many times, you can audition the whole 16. Now it's 15, 16, and then it goes back to 1. So this is the number of the slot, and the other one is going to be the number of the sample. Now once you release this is going to work like the melodic section. You're going to be standing on the slot number 9, so all the keys are just going to trigger different samples that live within that slot, and you have 16. If I go to a different drum, this is going to be another, different 16 sounds. Right, so now we know how to select sounds. Let's talk about the pattern. We know what this does. Let's talk about this one. So on this one, you have pretty much the same you have on each pocket operator. You can create different patterns and then you can chain them and so on and so on. So, but first we need to learn how to select it. So you have 16 patterns. That's what you can do. So when you go to the pattern, you tap it, you press and hold. It's going to let you know, dude, you are standing on the pattern number 1. So this means if you have some pattern, maybe a cool pattern right there, you're just going to go to the play and it's just going to play the pattern that lives on the slot number 1. Now, what if I wanted to go to a different pattern? Do the same thing. Just press, you hold, and maybe I'm going to be going to the pattern number 3, and this is a completely different pattern. Right? You don't even need to go to play. You just can select, just press and hold, and then maybe go to the number 6, and then just see what's in there, right? Okay, so I'm gonna be going to the pattern number 1, and it's gonna be a very simple sound. So then you can change the BPM. You have it right there. It says BPM. So just tapping this is going to change the, the speed to different rates. Just changing the BPM. So you can go to 80s, it's going to be hip hop, then disco is going to be 120, and then tencho, which I believe they made a mistake and it should be techno. But that's how it works. It's 80, 120, and 140. Now, what if I don't like this? I want to fine tune it myself. Right? So by going to the BPM, press and hold, just going to do it right now, press and hold, this knob, the B, and this is going to be the A knob, and this is going to be the B knob, you just can fine tune your tempo to whatever you want. Maybe I want 125, well, you just fine tune it, or maybe just go around there until you get it. Something like that, that's fine. Now, while holding, the B is going to be the fine tune of the tempo, but the A, this one, is going to be the swing. So as soon as I go up on the swing, we are going to be getting some crazy swing. Now, everything that you do on the KO, and pretty much on all the KO, all the operators, you are going to see some values right here, or you see some values right there at the bottom, so you can see where you are. Maybe if I go to swing, I'm doing too much, maybe I'm just going to do a little bit. Or maybe just nothing. Right. So one more thing that the BPM button does is that you can change the volume because maybe it's too low. And from factory, it's a little bit too low. So when you play something, if the volume is too low, you just can go to BPM, you hold it, and you can do, the swing and the tempo. But at the same time, you can see that right here, something changes. Right here is just showing you the pattern, how it's going. But when you hold it, it's telling you the volume is going to be, in this case, 10. But you can go to lower volumes, or maybe you can go all the way up. And if I go maybe all the way up, it's going to clip on my card, my sound card, but maybe 6 is fine for me. So this is how you can change the volume. So what about battery? This will not consume that much, and it will go off after 5 minutes if nothing is connected. But if you have something connected, is right here, it's going to take 60 minutes. Now still, this goes off, but it will not go completely off. The LCD screen is going to stay lit with this dude sleeping right there. But the thing is that this doesn't consume that much. What consumes are the lights, a lot are the lights and everything else. So you just don't need to worry. Now, if you want to turn it off completely, the only way you have to do it is to remove the batteries at the back. So still, if you wanted to know how much battery you have left, you have the sound, you have the BPM, you need to press and hold both at the same time, and it's going to say BAT. Now, as soon as you release it, it's going to give you a number, 97. This is how much life you have in your batteries. It's 97%. So, I have a lot. And I've been using it, so it doesn't consume that much. So you just don't need to worry about that. Now, of course, if you want to be eco-friendly, maybe using some rechargeable batteries would just, be a good idea if you're going to be constantly using this. Okay, so let's talk about the A and the B right here. On this occasion, on this one, it controls a lot of the params that we are really going to be using. On some other pocket operators, they don't do much. They just maybe adjust, maybe some little thing, maybe a couple properties. In this case, they're going to be controlling at least 6 different params, which is a lot. So the first thing that this will consume or this will just modify is the pitch and volume. Now there's one thing that you need to be aware of. How to change, because you can control 6 different things. You have only access to 2 things, the A and the B. How can you change it to different things? So when you go to effects, this is going to give you some information about when you just kind of tap this. So first at the top is going to say TRI. So this is trim. It's going to be one thing we can use with A and B. If I tap it again, it's going to say tone for tonality. And the next one is going to be FLT. Now, at the bottom, you have some icons. If it says FLT, it's going to be filter. So it's a question mark. Now, the next one, the trim, it's nothing. You have no icon. The next one is going to be tonality. And you have an exclamation mark. So now you kind of know where you are just by looking at the icons right there. So first we're going to talk about this one. It's going to be the tone. So this one will control pitch and volume. Yes. So first we need to select some sound. I'm going to be going maybe to this one because it's just, pretty obvious. Right, so we get some sound and it's like, just a chord. So what we can do with the pitch is going to be the A, and then the B is going to be the volume. So if I go right there and just start playing it and I start moving this, we can see and we can actually hear that it's detuning this, and I'm always playing the same key. Now, right, that center is the original tuning. If you go down, it's just going to tune down. And if I go up, it's going to tune up. Now, since all of this works like a keyboard, just a keyboard, when you detune everything, for example, if you're right here, standing on the first key, it's going to sound like that. And we're going to get something like that. But if I go all the way down, everything is going to sound super low. So when you detune the instrument or the sound, it's going to be detuning the whole thing. Now, I'm going to be going to that center, like the original tuning, and the next one is going to be the volume. So now we can go up and down in volume. Right, so A, pitch, the B is going to be the volume, and all of this, we can use them when we create patterns, and we can just change and adjust the values when we create patterns. Just going to be a very useful thing. Right now, we are just learning what they do. So the next one is going to be the filter and resonance. So if I tap this, it's going to say FLT for filter. Now we have this sound, which, it sounds cool. That's fine. So the A is going to be something and the B is going to be something else. The A is going to be filter and the B is going to be resonance. Now the filter is a little bit special. If I play something, notice that the top is going to tell you what you're doing. Is LPF because of low pass filter. So this means that you're cutting high frequencies. I have the resonance way up. Let me just do something like that. So LPF is low pass frequency, low pass filter. So you're cutting high frequencies. Now, as soon as you go up on the A knob, it's going to stay right. There we go. It's going to say no filter. So right now we have no filter. Now, if you go up, it's going to go to high pass filter. So this means that you're chopping the lows. You're filtering the lows of the sound. So you have a low pass, you have no filter, and then a high pass filter. So pretty simple. Now the next one is going to be the resonance. If there's no filter, it doesn't matter what you do right here, it's just not going to affect it that much. Well, let's do a low pass filter. I'm going to cut some of the high frequencies. Now this one is going to be the resonance. If it's all the way open, you can see the lines right there. It's kind of a full. You're not doing anything. As you get closer to center, you're going to be doing some resonance. So when I modulate this, we can hear that peak, that resonant peak. Now, all of this, the A and the B, remember, we are going to be using this with patterns. And each different pattern can have a different configuration. So we're going to have like a motion sequence when we record something and we use the A and the B. So the next one is going to be this one. It's going to be TRI for trim. Now, this one will adjust the sample. So since we are working with samples, we can play the sample on a different position. Maybe we don't want to play the sample right at the beginning, so we can offset the playback head of the sample. And at the same time, we have a sample. It might be really long, so maybe we want to make it shorter. right? So these are the controls. This is going to be the start of the sample, and this is going to be the length of the sample. Now, I'm going to be making it a little bit shorter. We're going to talk about the length in a minute. So this one is going to be the start. So right there, when I move it, and notice that as soon as I move it, it's playing the last key we just played. So you can have a reference on where you're starting. So right there on the in, right here, is going to be the beginning of the sample. So when we play something, that's going to be the beginning. Now, what if I wanted to move it a little bit to the back? So now we are just going to be playing the sample, and we are going to be offsetting the beginning. If I go all the way to the back, we are just playing the tail of the sample. Now, depends on the sample, you're going to get a cool sound, or you're just going to get not a very cool sound. Depends on the sample. Now, in this case, I'm just going to go all the way back to the beginning. Now, this one is going to control the length. If you go all the way out, all the way to the out is going to be pretty much everything. This is going to play the whole length of the sample. But if you want to make it shorter, you just can make it very short, and now it's going to play a short sample. So all of this, the trimming of the sample, then the filter and the resonance, and changing the tonality and the volume are very useful when we create patterns just to create different motions. Now we're going to do that in a minute. First, we need to learn how to create patterns on this device. Right, so let's talk about creating patterns. Now you can edit whatever you have on the existing patterns, but sometimes you just want to start from the scratch and just create your own pattern. To do this, first you need to stand on the pattern that you're going to be working with. Right now I am at 1. Maybe that one, I just don't want it anymore. Maybe that's too fast. I'm going to go to 120. That's fine. So I just don't want this pattern. I want to start over. So when you select this one, make sure you're standing on that one, because if you're standing on a different pattern, you're going to erase that by mistake, and there's no going back. So once you select this pattern, it's blinking and you're standing there. So what you need to do, you need to go to record, hold it, and then you need to go to pattern, and it's going to say CLR right there at the top, and it's clear. So now I'm going to be playing that pattern, and we have no pattern. Record and pattern, I'm going to do it to the number 2 because we can, just to practice. I'm standing on the pattern number 2. I'm going to record. I'm going to do pattern. At the same time, we get the clear, so it's gone. And if I play the pattern, we get nothing. Cool. So you have 2 main ways of creating patterns. You have live recording or adding steps like a normal step sequencer, right? So first we're going to do the step sequencer. And once we know this, we're going to go to the live recording, and it's going to be a piece of cake. Right, so I'm going to be going and stand on the pattern number 1. Right now, if I play, we have no pattern. We just, erased everything. So what do I want to do? I want to play or record or add something to the 16 steps. Now, the first thing you need to do is you need to select what you want to use, which sound. In this case, I'm going to go to sound, and I'm going to stand on the number 9. It's going to be a drum sample. So once I select that one, I just can audition all the different sounds we have available on this slot. If I go to the number 1 is going to be a kick. Once you select it, KO remembers that this is the last sound you play. So what you need to do to record this to the pattern that number 1 we are using, you need to use the right feature. And right here, there's a lot of things, when we work on this mode, we're going to be enabling and then disabling to do something else, and then just recording the step on whatever we want to go. So let me just show you. So right now we know that we are standing on that kick, and KO knows this. So once I enter right mode, KO is listening for us to add a step to wherever we want. Maybe the step number 1 or maybe the 16. Now I want to do a 4 in the floor. So I'm going to be doing 1, 5, 9, and 13. If I play this, we get it. Just a 4 in the floor. I guess we are in 120. Okay, so I'm gonna just turn it off. Now what I want to do now, I want to add more sounds. And this is how it works on the step mode. You just gonna need to go out of the right mode. Notice that you get a recording icon right there when you enable the right mode. So that's the way you know that you have it on. So if I turn it off, now maybe I just can go to a different place, maybe a different kit or different slot, and just select a different sound. In this case, I'm going to stand on the number 5. I'm going to use the same kit. So the first one was a kick, but maybe I just want to add some snares or maybe a clap or something like that. So I'm going to just, maybe not that one. All right, so this one is cool. I want to use this one. Now, since this is the last sound I played, I can safely go to write mode, and this is just going to ask me, where do you want to put it? So I want to do a 5, and I want to do a 13 in this case. It's going to be kick, snare, kick, snare. Very simple. I'm going to be adding there. And notice that there's something funky going on. It just turns off and then turns on back again. Okay, so let's see what happens. So that's what's going to happen. And this is something that you need to know that that happens with this KO. You cannot assign multiple layers to the same slot. You cannot play multiple layers on the same slot. For example, if you have a kick right here and you want to add a second sound so you can have a kick and snare playing at the same time, just layering 2 sounds, that's just not gonna work. You cannot do this. But what you can do, you can select from a different slot and you can stack up to 4 different voices. So right now this is not working because we are selecting a kick and a snare from the same slot. So it's just not working. Now I'm going to go back to the number 5 and I'm going to go out of the rec mode. That's my mistake. I'm going to go off. I'm going to select the sound and I'm going to select the kick again. I'm going to go to right. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to make sure that everything we have on the floor is just going to be the kick, right? So we get the kick. Now what I want to do, I'm going to go out of the rec mode. We can still, keep on play. And I want to select maybe a different sound. I want to go right there. And I want to go to the 10, which is a different slot, right? So if I want to maybe to add that snare to the 5 and the 13, that we can do. Right? So I'm going to be selecting right there, and we are on right mode. I'm going to be doing 5, 13, and now if I play it, we get the kick and snare. So you can layer up to 4 different voices, but from different slots. Not going to happen if you're using the same slot. Right? Now, and right here, the only thing you need to do right now, if you're going to be using other slots, is just, create some patterns. Right now we have this. I'm going to go out of the rec mode. I'm going to be playing pressing the right. We don't have a rec icon. And what we can do is, since we are standing on this slot, I can just maybe audition some other sounds. Once I'm standing on the one I want, I'm just going to write. We know we are on edit mode. I'm going to be adding the sounds on this, on the steps. Same thing. I'm going to be going off the right mode, and I'm just going to maybe audition some other sounds. Maybe I like that one. Or maybe I'm going to be going to a different sound. Maybe I'm going to go to the number 11. And now I can like that. So I'm going to be doing right. We are on right mode or edit mode. And I just can. And there you go. That's how you create different sequences. Pretty easy. So what if I wanted to use some melodic sounds? Well, we can, and it's pretty much the same thing, but there are some little differences. So I'm going to be playing this. And as soon as you play it, you can go to sound, you can hold it, and maybe I'm going to be selecting this one, and this one is going to be the chorus. Now notice that first of all, the volume is very low. And the second thing is super short. Now, if you wanted to control the trim, remember the start and the ending of the sample, we need to do it on stop. It's not going to do it while you're playing. So make sure that you hold the effects or you tap the effects until you get to the TRI, which is going to be the trim. I'm going to be making the sample, full length, and the trim, I'm going to make sure that it's right there at the beginning. And if I play it now, it's just going to be a little bit different. Now, also, you have all the things like, let me just play it again. You have this one, which is going to be the filter. You have this one, which is going to be the tonality. Now, right there, I'm going to make sure that maybe we are right there in the dead center of the pitch. Right? So we are not detuning. But the next one is going to be the volume. Make sure that the volume that we have some volume. All right, so pretty cool. Now, the thing right now, since we are right there in spot, we want to record all of this on the sequence. So when you do right, whatever you played last on the steps is going to record it, just like the drums. Now, since you have different pitches, this is just going to work on a different way. So let's say I want to, maybe not that one. I'm going to go out of the rec mode. Maybe I want that, okay? So I'm going to be doing this, and the last sound we played is going to be repeated on different patterns. In this case, we have right on, I'm going to do play. And there you go. You can remove them while the, the pattern is going, and maybe just add it to different places. It's pretty easy. Now, one other thing, what happens, and I'm going to stop it right now and get out of the right mode, just no rec. So what if I wanted to record different chords? Now, the melodic part works a little bit easier when you're recording live, just going to be a little bit more straightforward, but you can still do it on step mode, on step record mode. So if I play it, remember the last thing we played is the thing that is going to be played right here on the sequencer. So if I go right here, I'm going to remove everything we did, right? I'm going to stop it, and I'm going to get out of there and just stop it. So this is going to be the last note, and then we have different pitches because we are not on right mode. So this is maybe something I want to use. I'm going to do right. Whatever I do right here is going to be using the last note or the last key we played. I'm going to go out of the key of the rec mode or the right mode, and now I'm going to be playing something else. I'm going to do this one. So I'm going to do rec or right, and whatever we do now is going to be listening to the last key we play. And this is something very standard with this with this device. And if I play it, so we get first high notes, and then we get all lower notes. The first key we play, which was the number 2, and then the number 10. So this is how you can record different pitches. All right. So I'm going to go to rec and pattern and just start over. I want to show you something else. Oh, and first make sure that you're standing on the pattern that you want to erase. And if I do play, we have nothing, right? We have nothing. So what we can do, remember, we can record everything that we do on the A and the B, and the only thing that we cannot record is the trim and the trim, the start and the length. So I'm going to be maybe doing some step sequencing. If I make sure, go to sound, make sure you have the sound that you want it to, and once you play it, that's how it's going to sound, and maybe you just want to add that right there. Now, if you go out of the rec mode, you just can mess with the values you have right here. So if I do maybe this one, we are not on play, we are not on right, I just can mess whatever is going to be, we're going to be getting on this one. I'm going to modify the pitch. Maybe the volume is going to be a little bit up. If I go to the next one, it's going to be the filter. So on this one, we just can, maybe do something like that, add a little bit of resonance. And that is going to change the character of this one. And when I go to right, I'm going to be adding this. We have this information on the second step. I'm going to be adding it right here, maybe on the 10th. And if we play it, we have the same thing we had from before. And then we have something completely different. Right? So we can do the same trick by doing, in this case, out of the right. I'm going to do a stop. And maybe I'm just going to be selecting maybe this one. Maybe I want to do maybe something similar. Maybe I'm going to do a high pass. Maybe I'm going to go right there and adjust the tone. I'm going to go up in pitch and maybe a little bit down in volume. So now I'm going to be using that since it's the last thing we play, and I'm just going to punch in the different steps. Maybe something like that. If I do play, you are going to be creating very interesting sequences just by doing that. All right. So if you think about this, what is happening behind the scenes, and we are doing it on step sequence mode, not on live mode. Every time we add new steps, before we add the step, we are changing the properties, and whatever gets recorded is going to be the last properties it knows. So this step has some params, this one's have different params, and this one has different params. So this is works like a motion sequence, and we can do this live when we record and play something. Now we're going to be talking about that in a minute. Okay, so let's talk about the step length, pitch, and retrigger. Now first, I'm going to start with a new example. Make sure you are on the pattern number 1. I'm going to be selecting and making sure you record in pattern to clear that pattern. And if I play it, we have nothing. All right, so I'm going to be selecting a sound. It's going to be that, that piano. I'm just going to be doing right so we can enter some steps. Once I do so, we get the last thing we played, we get it on each step. Pretty simple. Now what I want to do, I want to change the pitch of whatever we did right here. So doing this, using what we know so far, I need to get out of the rec mode. Maybe I'm going to need to play a different note, maybe this one, different pitch. And then once I did that, I'm going to need to go to right, remove that and enter this one, and maybe remove this and enter this one. So if I play it, then, we get the high pitch, low pitch, high pitch. But we need to stop, we need to go out of the rec mode, then select a different pitch, and then enter it again. Now there is another way of doing this, which is a little bit easier, and it's using the A and the B knob. So I'm going to start over and just do the same. I'm going to clear that pattern. I'm maybe going to go to this one, and I'm going to be recording this on the same spot, right? And then I play it, and we get pretty much the same thing we did before, right? So what you can do, I'm going to stop and I'm going to get out of the right mode. Now I'm going to go back to the right. Notice that there's no playing, and it's because there's a difference. I'm going to go back to the right mode. Now we are on the right or edit mode. So what we can do, we can press and hold one step, and we can move the A knob to shift the pitch. So I'm going to go maybe to this one. I'm going to press and hold. I'm holding and it says copy, but at the same time, what you can do, just can offset or change the tuning on this one. And I'm going to go low so we can tell the difference. And I'm going to go to this one. I'm going to press and hold, make sure you're holding, and I'm going to be changing the pitch on this one, maybe to a higher pitch, or maybe something like that. So now I'm going to be releasing this, and if I play this back, notice it's just remembering the changes. But this is just an easier way to change the pitch. Right. So maybe you're thinking, okay, so if the A is the pitch, we can press and hold, do the same thing, and use the B knob because this one was the volume. Well, not really. When you're on rec mode or right mode or edit mode, the B knob, it's not going to be the volume. It's going to be the length. So right now we are playing a sample that it's, I wouldn't say super long, but it's a little bit long. So when we play this step, the note will extend to the other ones because the note, the sample is a little bit long. So when I play it, the sound is just not stopping on this step. It keeps going to the other, to the other ones. And it's because we have no information. We are not telling the sequence how long this step should last. So that's going to be the B knob. Right, so I'm gonna, for now, just gonna stop playing, and I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna go to this one, I'm gonna press it, and I'm gonna hold it. Once we do so, the B knob, if we move it, notice that something is going on right there with the lights. If I move the B knob, you get something right there that says L. So this is length. If we go all the way up, this means that this note, if it's a very long sample, is gonna last everything. It's gonna last the whole, all the 16 steps. That's the duration of the gate length of that step. And this is about gate length. Now, since of course we are playing right here other notes, this one is going to choke whatever we are doing right here. But what we can do in this case, I'm going to go back, and maybe I just want to make it 2 steps long, maybe 1 and 2, or maybe 1, 2, and 3. But we can do that. So now we are going to be able to hear the difference if I play it. Notice it's choking, stopping right there on 3. And on the other ones, just keeps playing until the next note plays. I can do the same thing on this one, and instead of making it longer, I just can make it super short, maybe 2 steps, or even 1. I'm gonna make it 2, it's even shorter. And And maybe I'm gonna go to this one, and since this one is long, I'm just gonna press and hold. And instead of just make it a 2 or 3 or 5, just gonna make it 1. So it's gonna be just this step. And it's a super short step. So I'm gonna make sure we are in the right pattern. I'm gonna hit record and pattern to clear that one. If I play, we have nothing. Now on the A and B, the A and B that we have right here, we have something else on the drums. It's gonna work a little bit different. So I'm gonna go to sound and I'm gonna maybe select, I don't know, some drums, something like that. So we can get some drums right here. I'm gonna disable the rec mode or the write or the edit mode. And now, if I, play something we just can hear the whole kit. So I'm gonna be maybe selecting the step number 1. I'm gonna do a write, and I'm gonna be adding 1, 2, 3, 4 in the floor. So if I play it, we get that. Now, what if I wanted to change it to something else? Maybe I wanted to maybe change the sound. So same thing than before. We need to go out of the write, maybe select a different one, go back to this one, and just change it for that one. But again, this is not a very good, workflow. So we can do the same thing. I'm going to be going to right there, and I can hold this one, and while holding, we are going to be getting the copy, but if I move the A, it's going to tell you right there at the top which sample of that slot you're auditioning. So right now we had the first one, which was the kick. I'm going to be changing it to, I don't know, something else, maybe the number 6. And the same thing with this one. I'm going to hold it. It's going to tell us we are in the 6. I'm going to be changing it to, I don't know, something else. This one, we have the 1. We're going to be changing it to something else. Maybe that one. And we just are changing the different values on the drum kit. You're just playing different parts, different slices. And we're going to talk about slices in a minute. So if I play it, everything's going to be different. So you don't need to remove the step and add it again, just like we did before. We just can do it this way. Right, so since we can do pretty much the same thing we did with the melodic, but on the drum, what is going to happen if we move the B knob? It's altering the length, just like, we have on the melodic? No, so the B knob does nothing on the drum mode. But on the drum mode, we have an extra function, which is going to be the Retrigger. And I'm going to do something simple. I'm going to erase the pattern and just maybe select a very dull sound, something simple, maybe that one. And I'm just going to maybe go right there and just record it on each, right? So we get something very simple. Now, by doing the same thing, by holding and now going to the BPM, this is going to use a Retrigger, and you're gonna notice the difference. Now, first I'm gonna go out. I'm gonna go back to the rec mode. I'm gonna hold it, and now if I tap the BPM, notice it's gonna say TR2, then TR3, then TR4, and 6, and then 8. So this means that this one is going to be retriggered, a certain amount of times. If I press and hold again, and I select 2, if I play it, it's going to retrigger twice on the same step. Now if I go to this one, and I do the same thing, I'm going to go and retrigger it 4 times. It's going to do 2 and then 4 times on the same step. It's just retriggering the same sound. Now if I do the same thing and go right here, I'm going to go to the max, which is going to be 8. Right, so this is something, I'm going to go back to no pattern right here. So this is something that you need to remember with this device, what the A and the B knob, what's going to happen when you're working on melodic or maybe you're working on drum, because they do different things and they matter. Okay, so I'm going to be going to the melodic, I'm going to go to that sound. Maybe I'm going to do a write. So we have it enable. And I'm just going to be adding this note right here. And then I'm going to go out of this mode. And maybe I want to go to add a note right here on this step. So when I play it, maybe I want to use the same sound, right? But I just want to maybe modify it. So we are going to be changing maybe the pitch. Why not? Right, so we are not in rec mode, so we are not recording this, but I'm just using maybe a different pitch. Maybe we can do a little bit of filtering, something like that. I'm maybe gonna go right there. A little bit of resonance. Right, so now I have a completely different sound. If I go back to right, we are back on step mode. and I'm going to be adding that one right there. So on this one, we have the, not so altered sound, and this one we have the completely destroyed sound. So if I play it, you have the normal and the other one, right? Which is fine. We already know how to do this. I'm going somewhere. So what if you wanted to reuse this one? You cannot go back because all your settings, you just change the settings to do this one. You cannot reuse it. And if you wanted to reuse it, you will need to maybe add a different node and just trying to figure out what you did right here in order to reuse this step on different steps. Now, you don't need to do this. Now, once you hold it, just like we did to modify the A and the B, once you press and hold, it's going to say copy. Once it says copy, whatever you did right here is going to be copied in memory. So if I add new steps, maybe here or maybe right there, maybe I'm going to do it right here. Whatever we did right here, now it stays in memory. And when we add new steps, it's going to be reusing this step. If I play it back, we can hear that it's going on. If I do the same thing, if I wanted to reuse this one, I'm going to press and hold until it says copy. And then I just can punch in, the steps. And it's that easy. Once you want to reuse something, you just press hold until it says copy, and then you just reuse it. Okay, so I'm going to turn it off. I'm going to go and start a new patch, a new sequence, a new pattern, and we have nothing, right? So I'm going to start over, and I want to select the same sound, and I want to record something new, create a new pattern. I'm going to be adding some notes, something like that, something that doesn't make sense. Just going to, keep adding notes. All right. So we have something, but what we can do, we can modulate the A and the B knob, and this is called motion sequence. Now on the manual, they call it something else, but now these days we know it as motion sequence. So you need to make sure that the right here is off, and then you need to play it back. So when you play it back, you can just hear what you're doing, of course, but right there, remember you have the question mark or you have the tone, and it's going to be the filter or the pitch. So what we can do now, we can just create a motion sequence and record a motion with a pitch and with everything else. And to do so, we need to press and hold the right. Now, you need to be not on rec mode. If you're on right here and you press and hold, that's going to really work. It's going to be off, right? So once it's off, you just press and hold. So it's ready to record whatever you do right here. And it's going to do it on a, again, motion sequence fashion. So I'm going to be just... And once you release it, it's just going to record whatever you did with this knob. Maybe we can, do something better. Right? Maybe we want to do a little bit of volume because it's too loud. I'm going to be holding the record, and just by doing this, you're just adjusting the volume of all the different steps. Maybe you want lower in volume, and that's it. All the steps will have the same volume. Same with the pitch. If you want to alter the pitch of all the different steps, you just, leave it on the same spot and it's going to record it. Now in this case, I'm just going to maybe go right here and just change a little bit of the volume of the volumes. Maybe something like that. Something like that. Doesn't matter. Now we can do the filter. If I go to the filter, we can do the same thing. Press and hold, and we can just start modifying the filter. And it's going to remember that motion sequence. Same thing with the resonance right there. Maybe we can do something like that. And you're going to start getting, very cool sounds, especially when you bring the drums or you sync it with different POs and get, very cool sequences. All right. So another thing that works pretty much the same, I'm going to restart the pattern, going to delete it, start all over again, is going to be the live recording. And since we already already know everything that this can do and how we can do it on step recording, live recording, it's just pretty easy. So, okay, so let's just do it. I'm going to go to record, to sound actually, and I'm going to be selecting maybe the drum number 1. And if we play it, we have nothing, of course. But then maybe I'm going to be selecting this kick. And for now, I'm just going to go to normal step record and add a kick. So we can, we know what the tempo is and we can live record everything. Right now we're on right there. I'm going to go out of the right mode. So now, since we are just playing and we are not recording anything, I just can audition the different parts of that slot. How can we add them, live? We do it the same way we did with the A and B. You just press and hold the right, and you just add the different notes or the different, the different things you want to add. In this case, maybe I want this one. And that's it. It's going to remember everything you did. It's going to quantize that, that sound and just add it to the sequence, to the pattern. Maybe I want a different sound. I'm going to go right there and maybe find something. Maybe something like that. I'm going to record it. There we go. Maybe something else. I'm going to go maybe to the last, drum. I have a kit or a slot. I have something right there. And we do the same thing. Maybe we can find something. Maybe not that one. I like that one. Something simple. There you go. Now maybe we can go to melodic and select maybe the piano, something like that. And we have something like that, so we can hold the right and then. And just like that, you can just bring different instruments and create cool sequences, doing a live performance. Right, so let's talk about effects before we can start talking about the sampling. So on each operator, you have the effects and some, effects that you can add to the whole kit or, the whole sound. And on this one, just like, all the other pocket operators, you get 16 types of effects. I'm going to put them right now on the screen. So each effect will create a different, a different sound, just a different effect. And some of them are just very cool. Some of them just maybe you need to use them on the right situation. Now, how can you use them? It's pretty simple. I'm going to be using the same pattern that we have from before. Maybe this one, or maybe just select a different pattern. Maybe one of the ones you have from factory. Maybe I can use that one. Why not? Right. So the trick right here is that you have this effects right there. Now we already know and we are already using this when we want to change the filter, the trim and everything else. Now while playing and not recording, make sure that you don't have the right on. You have 16, right? And they are right there on the screen. So when I press and hold the effects, I'm gonna press and hold it right now. Now, the 1, 2, 3 and all the different steps, they will just let you apply some effect, and the effects are just gonna work on top of the whole sound. They're not gonna be applied maybe to the drum or the melodic layer or sound. It's just something that happens on an overall. So maybe the one is gonna be doing something like that. See? Now in this case, we are just auditioning the different effects. I'm gonna go to the 2. Gonna do that. Maybe the 9 is gonna be something like stutter. Something like that. Right. Let's go to 12. And you get, all of these effects that you can play around, just full around. Octave up, octave down. But all this is happening live because I'm holding the effects. Now the last one, the number 16, is going to be no effect. If I play something, nothing happens. Now, why do we get something that has no effect? Now, the thing is that you can burn whatever is that you're doing to your sequence. It's going to record the effects that you're doing on each step, and then you're going to be able to record the changes. And this is actually pretty simple. We need to go right there and do right on, okay? So I'm going to do play, but now the right is going to be on. So if we do the same thing, I'm going to hold the effects, and now we can apply an effect. And this is just going to burn it right in the sequence. If I release it, you're not doing anything, and it just gets burned on this section. If I do the same thing right here, and I use a different one, maybe, I don't know, the 12, something like that. You just, again, you record different effects. pretty simple to understand. You need to fool around with this. Just spend some time and just make sure, or just remember which step or number is going to be. Right, something, you need to spend some time. Now the thing is that maybe I don't like what I did. I just want to change it. I want to go back to what I had from before. What do I need to do? I need to redo everything again? No, that's why the 16 is going to be no effect. And that's why all the effects are just going to be recorded on top of the pattern. If you want to remove parts or everything that you did, we do the same. We hold the effects and we apply no effects to everything, and it's going to delete the effects. I'm going to do just that. And I'm going to hold it for the whole sequence, and it's going to remove the effects. But maybe we want to do it maybe on the first part and just maybe on some parts. So I'm going to have something like that. I'm going to hold the effects, and now I'm going to be applying the no effects to a part of this. So it's doing it right here, but not right here. Right. And if I want to erase everything, you just hold the 16 for the whole duration of the sequence, and then it's kaboom, gone. Okay, so let's talk about copying and chaining patterns. So sometimes you want to use this as a performance tool. Maybe you want to create a sequence or maybe a pattern or chaining patterns to create a performance. So just to do this, I'm going to stand on the pattern number 1. I'm going to hit record and pattern and just remove it. If I play the number 1, we have nothing. And I'm going to do the same thing on the pattern 2. I'm going to erase all the data. You don't have to do this. You just need to watch. And I'm going to go to the number 3. And I'm going to select record and then pattern just to remove everything. So if I play the pattern 3, we have nothing. If I play the pattern 2, we have nothing. And if I do the number 1, we have nothing. That's the whole point. So again, the main point of doing all of this is that you want to create a performance. And I'm going to give you an example. So maybe I want to create a drum sound, right? And I'm going to be maybe using the kick. I'm going to do a right. And we're going to be adding 4 in the floor, something like that. And that's going to be the first pattern. I know it's simple, but I'm just, trying to give you a simple example so you can get the idea. So this is going to be the first thing we're going to be playing on our performance, or live performance in this case. So what I want to do right now, I want to reuse the data that we have on this pattern, and I want to paste it on this one. But on this one, I'm going to change it just a little bit. So how can we do this? So once you're standing on this pattern, what you need to do to copy this one and paste it right here, you need to do right and then pattern. And since you are standing on this one, it's going to know that it needs to copy this and it's going to paste it on the number 2. So now we are standing on the number 2, and if I play it, we get the same 4 on the floor we had on the number 1. So now on this one, what I want to do, I want to do something like that. I want to add something else. So I'm going to be using this. So I'm going to make sure that we are still on pattern number 2. And if I played, we have the 4 in the floor. And this is the last thing we played. So I'm going to be adding some hats. If I play it, we get it. So again, I want to add some snares. I'm going to get out of the right mode. I'm going to maybe go to sound number 10. And I'm going to find the snare, right there. And I'm going to add it right here and right here. So, okay. So now we have a first pattern, which is going to be sound a little bit like that. Then we have a second pattern, which is going to be something like that. Let's say that this is our verse. And maybe on this one, I want to copy whatever we have right here and paste it right there, right? So since we are already standing on the number 2, I just need to hold the right, do the pattern, and select the next pattern. And it's just going to copy paste, right? And if I play it, we have the same thing. So on this one, maybe what I want to do, I want to add a melodic sound. I'm going to go right there and just maybe go to, the keys. And I want to do something like that. So I'm going to be adding. So very simple. We have a pattern, which is going to be this, this, and this. So this could be an intro. This could be, maybe a pre-verse. And this could be the verse. Now the thing is that when we'll play, we can change to the intro, play the intro, and then maybe play the pre-verse, and then play the verse. And we can do it, live. And I made a mistake right there. That's the verse, and that's the verse. So we have 3 different parts. Now Now the thing is that what I want to do, I want to chain them. I want this to remember the order and the amount of rounds we want to play on each one. So what you need to do right here, you just need to do the pattern, hold it, and you need to tap as many times you want to repeat this. So maybe I want to repeat this 1, 2. I'm going to go to this one. I'm going to do 1. And on this one, I want to repeat it 2. 1, 2. So that's the way we chain patterns. Now if I play it, it's going to be 1, 2, moves on to the next one. It's going to be 1 round, and then we go to the verse for 2 rounds, and then it goes back to the beginning. So this is the way we chain patterns. We just hold it and maybe tap 1, 2, 3, 4. This one is going to be playing twice. This one is going to be playing 3 times, and then, it goes back to the beginning. This is how you chain patterns. Hold and tap as many times as you wish on each slot or pattern. Okay, so finally, let's address the elephant in the room, which is going to be the sampling or recording. So we mainly have 2 ways. We have via the line, the cable right to the phone, or maybe a synthesizer or something else, whatever, your sound source is, or you have your microphone right here. And there's going to be a difference between recording melodic parts and drum parts. So first, let's do melodic. Now, you need to remember when you go to sound, you're going to be able to use 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 for melodic. So if you want to record on something, on a slot where you already have a sound like this one, whatever you record on this right here, the previous one is going to get erased. So you really need to make sure that you're standing on a slot where you want to record this sound. If not, you're going to lose it and there's no going back. So in this case, I'm maybe going to go to the number 5 because I know that one is empty. We have no sound right there. If I play something, we get nothing because there's no sound. Now, which cable am I using? I'm using this cable, the ones that, they sell you. But this is a regular small stereo cable. If you have a stereo cable, just plug it in and then plug it in right here and you're going to be able to use it. So, okay, make sure you're standing on the right slot. How can we record whatever is going to come out from the synthesizer? And I'm using a cell phone because you can do it with your own cell phone. Download a free synth and you're going to be able to do it. This is not free. It's paid. That is asking me, do you want to keep on using the trial mode? Yes, I do. So I'm going to do continue right here. Okay, so if I play something, notice that we hear it, and it's because this is letting the sound go through and then go out to my sound card. This is how, it works by default. So what you can even do, if you wanted to, if you don't want to record samples, since you're already connected, you just can maybe play a pattern, something like that, and then you just can play your other instrument. That's, something that you can do. So in this case, we don't want to do this. I want to stand right here and I want to record whatever comes out and then just sample it. So how are we going to do it? Well, if you hold the record, you're going to be able to audition. So you're not really recording anything. So how this works is that you need to record and then hold the slot where you want to record into. And you need to make sure that you're not erasing something that you don't want to, right? Okay, so I'm going to be recording and I'm going to do the slot. And notice at the top right there is giving me a number. This is the amount of time we have left. Now, this device can record up to 40 seconds long for all the slots. Not just one slot. It's going to be all the slots. Now, right now it's blinking because it's waiting for sound to go right here into KO. So when I play a key, that's going to be the sound, and we have 1 second left. But now we recorded that sample. So now if I go right there, that's going to be the sound, the normal pitch, and everything is going to be sampled. So now we can use it on this device. So what if you don't like what you just recorded? Well, you can do the same thing, just record, stand on that slot, and maybe just play something else, and then release it, and it's going to be because the new sound is going to replace the one that you had from before. Now, what if you want to go back to no sound? You would just want to erase that sample. So, okay, so this is very simple, but it's dangerous because when you delete this, there's no going back, all right? So what you need to do is to go to record, and then you need to go to sound. Now, first, you need to make sure that you're standing on the right slot, on the one you want to delete. If it's blinking, it's because you're standing right there. So when you do record and you do sound, it's going to say del right there at the top, and it's gone. So if I play something, we are going to be getting nothing. And if I do record and go right there, notice that we are back to 23 seconds. So we are getting back the amount of time that, we have left because we are deleting that sample. So we have a little bit of more memory. If we go through the other sounds and we start deleting slots, we're going to start getting, more memory back. And right here, you can go crazy. I'm going to select a different patch from this synthesizer, maybe something like that. And you just go, make sure that you're standing on the right slot. You go right there. You're going to start recording. Notice it's blinking, so it's waiting for me to play something. That's going to be a sound, and I'm going to release, and then you have the sound. Now, one thing that you need to be, you need to be aware of is that when you're recording sounds, and I'm holding it right now, I'm going to release it. I'm just going to keep pressing the record. So this one, it's enabling the in. So it means that it's listening, but it's not going to record anything. Now, if I play something, notice that we get the volume right there, the in volume, the gain. So if it's too loud, at some point, it's going to give you something right there at the top where it says rec. It's going to change and it's going to say CLP. For clipping. This means that this instrument, it's too loud and you're clipping the signal. So you're going to be getting a little bit of distortion. So in this case, you need to go to this device, just go down in volume, right? And that's it. You're not going to be clipping anymore. And that's it. That's how it works. You hold rec to audition and make sure that it's not clipping and you have the right signal. And then you press and hold and play the sample and you just release it. And there you go. Okay, so let's talk about sampling drums, and it's a little bit different. On melodic, we know that when we record something, or a sample is going to transpose it to the 16 different keys. But how it's going to work with drums? So when we record a whole sample, behind the scenes is going to recognize the transients, chop the sample on multiple pieces, and assign the pieces automatically. And the pieces are called slices, automatically to the 16 steps that we have right here. So first of all, we need to make sure that we are standing on the right sound. I'm going to go to this one. I do have something right there. I want to delete. I'm going to go there and carefully delete the sound. If I go back here, there's nothing. So I'm going to stand on the number 13. And we know that right there now, we have nothing. I'm just moving the camera. Sorry for that. So I know that right here, we have nothing. So if I play something, there's nothing. And if I play this sound right now, that's going to be the multi-sample I want to record. All right? Cool. So we make sure we are standing right there. And by holding the record and doing play, we know that we are not clipping. This is something that you always need to check first. Okay, so I'm going to start over and I'm going to stand right here on this slot where we want to record this. And I'm going to start recording, and this is stuck on 21. Well, I'm going to do play. And we're going to record the whole thing. It's going to take some time. And I'm recording a lot of the sample. It's a very long sample. I'm going to release it. All right. So we recorded a very long sample. Sometimes this is not so good on this device because you only get 40 seconds. So you need to be very selective on what you record or multi-sample in this case. So behind the scenes, notice that we do have some data right there. It's blinking. So if I play the different steps, everything was sliced and assigned to the different steps. And sometimes depends on the material that you're recording. It's going to work good or it's going to work bad. Now remember that this sample that we recorded was way too long. And right now, we just have tiny pieces of this. It's not that long, right? If I go to the 16, if the sample is too long and you don't have enough slices to assign it to, if you play it, it's going to play the rest of the sample that it could not, it didn't slice. Right? And so we get that last part. Now, doing all this, I'm going to go right there. So when we do this, it just doesn't mean that you cannot adjust and modify or fine-tune whatever you have on each slice. So if I go right there, remember we have the trim on this one. This one is going to be the filter. This one is going to be the trim. And you have the tone, but you can go to the trim. So behind the scenes, this recorded the whole sample, but it's chopping some pieces and assigning it right here. Now, this doesn't mean that you cannot maybe go to that one. That one is too long. We are getting a little bit of the hi-hat on that step. Well, we can stand right here and we can adjust the length with this one. So if I go all the way up, when I play this step, it's going to play the whole sample. And this is very long. And I play it again, it's going to start again and play the whole sample. So what you need to do, you just need to adjust the length. Just to maybe try to get just the kick. Maybe not a lot of the snare. Maybe something like that. And the other one is going to be the position. Right now, if I play it, notice this is starting right here. It's not starting right there at the beginning. If I play the number 1, it's going to show me that it's playing the start of the sample. If I go this or here, it's just going to tour you through the different positions on the sample. If I go to the 15, if I go to the 16, it's going to be longer because we recorded, it's the remaining part of the sample. So you can go to each of the steps and fine tune it the way you like to. But you need to remember that behind the scenes, each step has access, you do have access on each one to the whole sample. If I play the number 1, it's going to play the whole damn thing. Right? So that's it, pretty much. It's a very simple thing to understand and a very simple thing to operate. The thing is that you need to be aware that the slicing is going to be automatically done for you, and then you need to go and just fine-tune it just a little bit more. Now, the next thing you need to really know and remember is that this is going to take up time. If the sample is too long, you have less time. So in this case, I guess we only have 10 seconds available. So this is too long. We don't need this. I'm going to be going right there. We have 10 seconds. And remember, by recording, we have 10. Notice that it says 10. So if I release it and I do it again, you don't have 10 anymore. You have 21. So this means that when you do record and you go to the slot and you hold it, it's going to record silence. So right now, if I go to my multi-sample, it's gone. We have nothing. You need to be aware of this. Remember that everything that you do, if you make a mistake on the slot, where you don't want to delete everything, is going to delete it if you don't pay attention. Okay, so the phone, it's gone. But you can do this with a phone, maybe with a synthesizer, or, whatever is that it's going to output, a signal. Now, in this case, we want to use the microphone. I don't want to use the line in. So whenever you don't connect or don't plug in a line in instrument, this is going to go by default to the microphone. So the way we record things is just going to be pretty much the same thing. I'm going to go to melodic, but maybe I'm going to stand on the number 2. The number 6. We know that we have no melodic information, no sample, and I'm going to be using the microphone right here. How can we do it? Well, the same thing. I'm going to be recording, and I'm going to be going and holding this one, and when we do so, as soon as the microphone is going to pick something up, it's going to record it. So I'm going to say something, I'm going to move away from my microphone, and I'm going to record it right now. So this is what I recorded.
K.O.
I was a little bit far from the microphone, so it's picking a little bit of the room.
K.O.
a lot of the room. But now
K.O. 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 K.O.
K.O.
is going to, of course, transpose everything that you record right here.
K.O.
Now at home, you need to go a little bit closer to the microphone. Double check if you're clipping. Notice that it's picking up right here my voice. But I'm super far away from the microphone, so it's picking up a lot of the room. So you just move closer to the microphone. You don't need to shout. If not, you're going to clip. But again, this is how it works. It's just going to record whatever you say or whatever you do, and then you can use it on something else. Okay, so I'm going to be talking about the last thing on this one, and it's going to be copy pasting slots and slices. Something very useful, especially when using drums. So I'm going to be doing it with drums. I'm going to go right there and hold the sound. And on drums, we have the 9, 10, 11, 12 with sounds, right? And these are the factory sounds. So I'm going to maybe go right there and stand on the number 9. And we know that we have a lot of different sounds. Now, what I want to do, I want to copy whatever we have right here in this slot number 9, but I want to copy and paste it on maybe some of the other slots. So what you need to do, first, you need to stand on the one you want to copy. I want to copy the number 9, so that's when it's blinking. We know that. Now, what we need to do is do write and then sound, and it's awaiting for us to touch a new, and notice it says CPI for copy. So it's awaiting for us to touch something else. So I'm going to be pasting it to the number 14. Once we go to the 14, it's going to stand you right there, and we have all the sounds we had on the number 9. So the KO can copy a slice of your slot, and instead of copying the whole slot, you just can copy paste the slice on maybe a new slot. And this is something very useful because sometimes maybe, let me just give you an example, we just copy the 9 to the 14th, but maybe on the 14, I want this one. I don't want everything else. I just want that sound. And I want this sound to be maybe on the number 1. So we can do that. So first I'm going to stand on the number 9. Let's say that. Okay, so let's say I like the number 9, maybe this sound. So KO, remember, it recognizes, or it will remember that this is the last sound you play on this slot. So what you can do, you can copy that one, which is the last one that you played, and assign it to the number 1 on maybe the slot 13. So this works the same way than copying slots, but it's just a little bit different. So you need to go to write and then sound. And this knows that this is the last one that you played. Now, when you do so, then I'm going to go there and sound. It's going to be copying. And notice that this is blinking. It's telling you, dude, I know that this is the one you want to copy. So then what you need to do is you need to go to the slot where you want to copy paste it, and then to the step where you want to paste it. So it's going to be 13 because we have nothing, and then the step, which is going to be the number 1. So now if I go right there to the number 1, we are standing on the 13. But if I go to the number 1, we have that annoying sound, and everything else, well, the rest of the kit, we have nothing. So just by doing this, we can just maybe go to different sounds, copy different parts, and go back to the 13 and paste it on the 2, the 3, the 4, and so on and on and on. Okay, so that's it. We covered pretty much everything. The only thing left will be storing on devices and maybe syncing different pocket operators. But I did that in the past. Maybe you want to check my other videos about pocket operators, especially the sub or the rhythm, because I did that explaining how to sync pocket operators, and it's always the same thing. So I will be recording the same video over and over again. So you just can go there and learn how to sync operators. Right, so if you liked all of this and maybe you learned something new, remember to like and subscribe. And if you have the money, you can buy me a coffee if you want, maybe to say thanks. Yeah, you can do that. You have Patreon, you have PayPal, and you have YouTube Thanks. Right, so see you on the next one.